Hey guys, Chef Jojo here with ECO, bringing you another episode of Shift Drink. And on this episode, we're going to discuss that thing we all strive for, consistency. And as always, we're going to have this discussion over a drink. Wow, consistency, right? It's something that we all strive for inside the kitchen, well, and in life in general too, right? But in the kitchen, we always talk about this. You're only as good as your last plate. I think I've probably said that on almost every episode of Shift Drink and probably on Leave It on the Line as well. But man, it's something that we really, really battle against. Like some days you come in and you're just flying, right? You get on your station or you walk into work and you're saying, "Hey everybody," you're in the zone, and then you hit the line, you expo, or like for my case, I'm running around in the property and all sorts of stuff's going on, but I feel like I'm clicking, and then maybe the next day I'm a little off, not quite as sharp as I was the day before, or the next day, or the next day, and that statement, "You're only as good as your last plate," I think it haunts us. If people come into your restaurant or your establishment and they have a decent enough experience, there's a good chance they might not even come back, or they might come back if it was great, and then they come back again and it was just good enough. They might come back again. If they come back and it was bad, they're gone. Like, you don't really get a second chance, and I think that's why we push ourselves so freaking hard. They talk about the Michelin madness, or the quest for perfection that we all, idolize and push ourselves to. But when it really boils down to it, it's really about being consistent. I personally, and it's something that I've told a lot of, this is one of, I guess, my preaching moments for culinary students and people in the business that are just getting started. If there's one thing that you can do, is be consistent. One of the greatest compliments I could give you as your chef or as a leader that you're working for or with is the fact that you're consistent. You're consistent on time. You're consistent being neat. You're consistent with your plate presentation. You're consistent with your temperatures if you're working the grill. You consistently are really good at making sure all your plates are seasoned properly. When you make something, it comes out consistently, like a machine did it. And it's a big word. It's a big ask to ask somebody to be consistent all the time. But it's something we push ourselves for. And I think that's why we feel so rewarded in our job. When you go in and you do a good day's work, and when you put all those plates out at the end of the night and you're driving home and you're kind of hungry and you had a beer or two and you're like thinking you're going to stop and you're going to go home, but what really is what you're feeling good about is the fact that you killed it, that you were consistent. You knew that 95 of the 96 plates were damn near perfect. I mean perfect. Not just like a little bit. I mean perfect. That feels awesome. And it's something that a lot of chefs don't really talk about, especially in our social world, right? We talk about that Instagram pic or that thing that only lasts 7 or 8 seconds. That's definitely not consistency. Consistency is a reputation built up over time. It's a trust, You want to be a good chef? Be consistent. You want to be somebody that's a good leader? Be consistent with your people. And one of the other reasons why we picked this topic was the fact that we haven't been that consistent with ECO this summer and now into the fall. Like, you haven't seen a lot of shift drinks from us, and you have not seen a lot of posts, and you can check out our Instagram. We're starting to post a little bit more, and on Facebook. But there's been some changes. Like recently, when I'm talking about being a leader, I was the executive chef of the Honda Center. Now I'm the executive chef and director of operations of the Honda Center. There were some changes inside there, and I've kind of stepped up and taken some more responsibility. I have a co-director that's going to help me, and I still have like a really great group of managers that I work with. But we're going to expect consistency every day, and they're going to expect the same thing of me. So it's really kind of changed the dynamic over the last 3.5, 4 months in the process. Was I as consistent as I could be at home? No, probably not. I was out trying to make sure everything was really happening at work. And how many of you all struggle with the fact that you're really good at being consistent in the kitchen or at the restaurant, and you're not very consistent with anything else? Now, that's that whole balance. But the reason why I bring it up is because I think a couple of weeks ago I got an email, or I think it was might have been a snap. Somebody sent me a message and said, hey, I'm having some situation with my girlfriend. She's really upset with me because I'm working so much and I'm not home. And I don't know if she's saying it's putting a lot of pressure on the relationship. And I said, well, when you're home, are you in the moment? Are you engaged? Are you looking at your phone or checking an email or trying to get back and make sure everything was okay at the restaurant and texting and finding out what happened? And, the biggest thing that you can be is consistent. The biggest thing that you can actually engage with people and always be there for them consistently is going to build you a great reputation. And they're going to feel cared for. And that, for me, is really kind of like what it's about. And I really didn't pinpoint this. I didn't understand it until the last couple of years when I was like, man, you're only as good as your last plate. I keep saying that over and over again. It's what we're graded on. But it's really, we're graded on being consistent. And not a lot of people, I think we throw that word out there a lot, but we don't realize how hard that is. Consistency is one of the biggest things that we struggle with. Like, it's great to be excellent once, but it's more important to be good consistently, or great consistently. However you want to kind of like define great versus good. I'd always like to be great, but I just want you to kind of grasp the point. And, starting out, it doesn't come easy. You have to consistently push yourself, consistently practice. Some of the greatest musicians in the world still consistently practice every day for 2 to 3 hours to make sure, honing their craft and making sure that they're still on top of their game. And as cooks and as chefs, it can be really hard because we spent so much hours in the restaurant trying to get to the top, trying to climb that ladder, trying to get there. Like now, executive chef and director of operations. Now I'm adding more things to my responsibility, but at the same time, I need to be just as consistent in making sure that the food and all my cooks are feeling the same amount of attention that they were 3 months ago. And how am I going to manage that? And how am I going to manage the consistency with the family and making it to a practice, or being with my wife and like us being consistent? It's not easy. And I thought that this was a really great topic to jump back into things, because what my goal is, and it always will be, I guess, is to try to be as consistent as possible. And I'd love to know your thoughts on that. And as we post more consistently, I'd like to hear what you think you'd like to hear from us on Shift Drink. I've gotten quite a few questions and comments. You can always follow us. You can hit the bell down below. And then when we post a Shift Drink, you'll get notified. You can follow us on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. And as always, I'm Chef JoJo. And until next time, cheers.